Hello there. Today I'll be going over some fire alarm, escalator, moving walkway, and smoke detector fails I've seen. Wheelock AS upside down. This describes a Wheelock AS at the building in the apartment complex that I live in that has been mounted upside down. I'm not sure who thought that was a good idea, but what building management should do to fix it is remove it from the wall and turn it right side up, then remount it to alert tilting off the wall. This describes the simplest true alert I've seen at the Florida Mall that was slanted when mounted and is currently on the verge of turning itself into a floor mount unit by hanging off the wall. Simplest true alert buried in the wall. What this describes is the simplest true alert I've seen at the Florida Mall, again, except this one has been recess mounted so that the sides are completely out of view, and it basically just looks like a picture online that someone printed out, cut out, and then stuck on a wall. Strobes are white, not orange. This describes a Wheelock MT that had a strobe that looked orange in color, and this is a fail because fire alarm strobes are meant to be white. Retrofitting, not hole fitting. Retrofit fire alarms are never good, and two examples of retrofits I've seen that it spells the hole cut out to mount the device are a Wheelock speaker strobe at a parking garage at Disney Springs and a system sensor LED L series remote strobe at a restaurant in Disney Springs. You can clearly tell a device of a different size was previously there, and they just stuck the new ones in without caring enough to fill the gaps. Special Alert Classic with a frosty strobe. This describes a Special Alert Classic at the apartment complex I live at. That first is losing most of its original red color, but second has a frosted strobe, and we all know Special Alert Classics are meant to have clear strobes. Wheelock 7002T, whose strobe is non-functional. This describes a Wheelock 7002T that if you look at the strobe, you can just tell it won't flash in a fire emergency, because the fire legend is even gone at this point. Smoke alarms don't work as well as floors before. This describes a smoke alarm in my unit at the apartment complex that I live at that is coming off its mounting plate, and I fear that one wrong move will turn it into a floor mount unit. Advanced sunburn, Spectral Alert gets roasted. This describes a Spectral Alert Advanced horn strobe I've seen at the apartment complex I live at that is meant to be an indoor unit, but has been mounted outside, and the strobe got too yellow as a result of UV damage, and the red on the device is faded so much I don't even think the fire lighting is visible anymore. Theme park transit fails. This describes a moving walkway in the hub going from the metal detectors to the parking garage of Universal Orlando, and how it has not been moving every single time I visited there. And then it also describes an escalator at City Vault in Universal that has been frozen in time, not moving a single inch since my first visit to Universal Orlando. You know that one saying, boy, that escalated quickly. Well, this one did not escalate at all, and is now invisible due to a barrier placed around it. The higher they mount, the harder they fail. Remember that yellow strobe, Special Alert Advance, and the upside down Wheelock AS I mentioned? Well, both of those devices had alarms that when I looked further toward the top of the walls they're on, I saw a Special Alert Advance remote strobe above each of the other two devices, and seeing they were way too high to properly alert anyone in a fire emergency, and they were also indoor devices mounted outdoors. NFPA 72 and manufacturer guidelines are pretty clear when they say that notification appliances need to be installed at heights and angles that maximize effectiveness. A strobe that's too high might not be visible to someone seated or with limited mobility, and a horn that's way up there could lose sound clarity or directionality, especially in a noisy environment. Special plastic hanging on for dear life. Here's one I remember from back in high school. A special classic in the old gym lobby of the high school I went to was hanging off its mounting plate, just by the wires it was connected to, and it looked like it was one sneeze away from falling off the wall. System trouble galore. At the college I used to work at, there was this fire alarm annunciator that showed system trouble after system trouble, literally every day. And one time, we had to disable the fire alarm system due to a performance using too much fog that would have caused a false alarm had we not done that. But once the performances were over, we re-enabled it, and the system trouble returned. When silence isn't golden, a Motel 6 fire alarm fail. There was one Motel 6 I went to long ago that had a pulsation that was stuck in the activated position, but no notification appliances were activated. This could be a case of the system being activated sometime prior to my arrival, but then when someone pressed the audible silence button on the panel, the alarms used weren't compatible with audible silence, so both the horns and strobes stopped at that one time, and no one decided to reset the pull station or reset the entire system, leaving it an alarm ever since then. False alarm, real problem. I3 self-test gone wrong. So this one will take us back to my high school when I was at lunch in the cafeteria. Fire alarm had sounded and everyone had to evacuate and leave the lunches on the tables, unfortunately. And when we were let back in, the administration told me that the cause of it was a smoke detector that malfunctioned and triggered a full fire alarm activation when it was in the middle of its self-testing phase, where the lights on the detector do go solid like it detected smoke, but then go back to flashing without triggering an alarm. But this time, it triggered an alarm. What's active, sounds silent. The hidden dangers of dead devices. Still at the high school I went to, multiple special classes there had either had non-functional strobes, non-functional horns, or both strobes and horns not working. And I know the NFPA 72 requires that all notification appliances be fully functional and regularly tested, especially in schools where occupants' safety is paramount. A strobe that doesn't flash or a horn that doesn't sound could mean someone with hearing or visual impairments misses a life-saving signal. This advanced strobe didn't survive the test of time or testing. At a Home Depot long ago, I seen a special advanced horn strobe where the strobe lens was blacked out, looking like it had been burned out from prolonged activation without a proper reset, like someone just left the system in audible silence mode for too long, and the strobe just gave out eventually. Well, that'll do it for this video, so I hope you enjoyed learning all the fire alarm fails I've encountered, and a few extra fails that I felt like adding in. So be sure to like, subscribe, and comment, and I will see you all next time.